Right, thank you for taking the time to listen to the ShrimpNet, the podcast of the Shrimps Trust, which our guest will be listening to for the first time to hear himself this weekend, I think. And joining Rick and Morty this week, we have the international globe-trotting full kit superstar of the boardroom. Welcome from Boston, Massachusetts, clang, not Boston, Lincolnshire. It's our boardroom guru, James Wakefield. Welcome along, James. You're getting a regular here, aren't you?
Cheers, Freeze. Hi, Joel. Hi, Faz.
Hello.
Oh, you're giving it away there. If people are listening, if they're watching, they know it's Faz. If it isn't, they now know it's Faz. And to give us the lowdown on the current run-in, the towering centre-back and part-time decent Tyson Fury impersonator, it's Big Faz himself. Welcome, Farrend Rawson. How's it taking us this long to get you on, Faz?
I don't know. I'm a busy guy. I must be really busy, and I'm not. So I don't know. Oh yeah, you've had some good people on before me, so I'm just low down in the pecking order, aren't I?
Well, I didn't say that. You know, I couldn't put the comment. Right, well, let's chat about Oxford first of all. A game where Oxford was it no winning 9, new manager bounce that we talked about. We don't know if it exists, but obviously Liam Manning taking over there. We've got his old charges coming up this weekend, which we'll chat about later on. But a sort of strange game in a way, for the simple fact that both sides were neat and tidy to the edge of the box, and then didn't seem to have any cutting edge. And when they scored, I thought we were doomed. Then, Joel, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's probably a reasonably fair summary. Really, I don't think neither side looked really cataclysmic. They weren't, messing things up, and we kind of put to right some of the things that we did against Charlton, and in that, whenever I think over the past couple of games, obviously against Charlton and Shrewsbury, basically whenever people have taken a set piece and it's not been in Faz's little area, then they've won the ball. But we've kind of rectified that, and everybody in the team was kind of winning their battles. But like you say, we were playing some nice little bits of football, so were Oxford, but when it came to that kind of decisive final third area, there wasn't really too much going on. And then obviously they get their little bit of a break. I think Love stepped out to try and intercept a ball. It's just gone a little bit past him, and obviously they've gotten in behind and opened up the space there. And like you say, it didn't look like either team was going to really have much of a breakthrough. So you do get that feeling like, where's the goal going to come from? But then I think it was some good substitutes from Derek. It just brought on that not necessarily extra quality, because we had quality players going off already, obviously, like with people like Weir, but people of a kind of similar level of quality, but also just energy. I think, we've had over the past few weeks, I kind of came away from the game thinking this, like, I remember when we had a week break before Bolton, we came at Bolton and we were so aggressive and we were really at them and we matched them so well across the pitch. And then in the game since, we've not really done that, despite playing not lesser opponents. So I think in those weeks we've had kind of the Tuesday, Saturday thing, and I think you can see in some areas of the squad where we haven't got maybe as much personnel, you can see it's taken a toll a bit physically. So just having those little bit of fresh legs to put on towards the end there just seemed to give us that little bit of energy, and we found a bit of space, and Hunter's done really, really well to put that shot away, because it's a good finish. He's cut inside, he sent their keeper going across the goal and then cut it back. It's a good way to finish, and I do think we should have had a penalty at the end. It's not like the most screaming Stonewall one, but he's dangled a leg out and Caleb's gone over it, and that's a penalty. It's not that much of a hard decision, I don't think, and it's disappointing that that's happened again. But we've just got to keep fighting and doing what we can do, even if the decisions don't always go our way.
And it was a strange game, James. It always looked like when they'd scored it was going to stay at 1-0, and then as Joel said, Ash got the equaliser, and then we had a frantic last sort of 3 or 4 minutes of normal time and 4 added on, and all of a sudden it was end to end, and it turned into an absolute cracker of a game. Both sides going for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was nervous, wasn't it, for a lot of the game? I don't know how it felt to play in it. Faz can tell us in a minute, but it felt like a game between two teams that really, really didn't want to lose. I agree with Joel. I think the substitution made a real difference. Just gave us just something different. A good goal by Ash, and it was a penalty. There is no argument about that. I think in a way, and I'm interested to know whether Caleb said anything after the game, but it looked to me like he rode the contact and then fell over. And I think if he'd just gone over and hadn't had that extra little step, I think it would have been a clear penalty. But it looked like a dive because he got the touch, tried to carry on, then fell over, and that's how it looked to me. But 1-1, I can't argue with the scoreline, apart from the fact that we should have had a penalty. But we're not going to get a penalty this season, are we? I think we're still suffering the curse of that playoff final.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, my fact of the day is that the last penalty we got was against Wigan, and that was a year last Monday.
Yeah, at least on the flip side, Connor keeps saving all the ones that we concede, so it's just about balancing out.
It's interesting you say that though, because at the time, obviously, if you stood in the Bartycard end, you can't really see the far end and see if it was a penalty or not. But we thought, well, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But ref just waved it away straight away. And as we were coming away, we got in the car, and I said to a couple of mates, well, I always watch the EFL highlights on a Sunday morning. I record them and then watch them. And I said, I guarantee you there will be 3 penalties in the EFL that are less obvious than that were given. And there were 2 in our division that were not as much penalties as the one we didn't get. But as you said, we don't get them because we're paying for the Carlos Mendes Gomez Wembley Cup final penalty. But anyway, so back to Faz. What was it a difficult game to play in? Because it did come across like both teams were tentative and didn't want to really push that too many men forward. They were happy with 1-0. They were sitting back and saying, what have you got? And luckily we got back into it. But then, like I said, it exploded in the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes of time. And both teams were like running around like chickens with no head trying to win it.
No, I think you lot have all hit the nail on the head. Really, it was a difficult. These games aren't easy. You can't judge it really on opponents or who you're playing against. They haven't won in 9. The manager bounce, everything is end of the day. Everyone, when you play these teams in a similar position to us, it's a fight. Like, I think it's cagey. You don't want to lose. You don't want to, you know what I mean, push too hard because what might come back the other way. But I feel like it's just a typical bottom of the league clash, really. It's like you say, you're working each other out a little bit like a chess match. And like you're saying, we were playing. They would allow us to have the ball. We would allow them to have the ball, and it was a little bit of 2 teams cancelling each other out. And sometimes, like when they score, sometimes you need that spark. And I think with our record, obviously, when we concede a goal, a lot of people think, "Oh no, we're going to lose the game" or whatever. But no, it's about sometimes you need that little bit of a spark, and they're obviously in the same position we are because they haven't got as much quality as the Ipswichers, the Sheff Wednesdays and stuff. To when they do score, they put teams to bed or whatever, and it gave us that opportunity to work them out. And then obviously Ash scored a really good goal. But I think it's just a difficult game. Do you know what I mean? Because Oxford, at the end of the day, you look at their team and it's a very good team. They've got really good players. You probably look at a team like that and you go, they should be where they are. But they're there for a reason, and I think we went toe to toe with them. They didn't overrun us. They didn't cause us too many problems apart from the goal. I think we got in at half time, and I think apart from they had that free kick at the end where we cleared it off the line, they literally caused. It was literally one cross. There was one cross, one goal, and that was the most frustrating thing. But I think we all knew.
Who cleared it off the line, Faz?
Someone who's bold and got a beard, I think. Great player in. He's a great player. I don't know his name though. I'm struggling with that one. But no, actually,
what made you drop back onto the line? What made you drop back? Oh God!
I've got to give. I was thinking it anyways, but I've got to give Rippers the assist there. 100%. Rippers said, because I think the angle of the shot. By the way, it was never a foul. I spoke to the ref at half time and he agreed with me and said he'll look out for it. More or less what happened, the ball got thrown into the striker and the striker's pinning there. I can't do anything. So I've got my hands up in the air. And all he's done, he's grabbed my shirt, spun me around and then running with my shirt. I've got my hand up like this. End of the day, I can't let him run into the box. So I've put my arm across, but he's got hold of my shirt like that. And then he's hit the deck, just completely hit the deck. I've not kicked him, not pulled him. He's just hit the deck. and the ref gave a foul. Started, it wasn't a foul. And the ref said, "Oh, look out for it. I know he's pulling your shirt and falling over."
So what did he give it for?
Exactly. But to be fair, a lot of the times you can speak to the refs, not out on the pitch. For some reason, the refs out on the pitch, I guess they have to back the decision, so they stick with it. But then you get them in at half time or something, you get them in then, you can speak to them like people, and they sometimes they're quite honest. Some of them aren't, but some of them are like, "Yeah, you're probably right there." Okay, I think because we didn't score from it, he had a different conversation with me than if they maybe scored from it. Maybe he might have stuck by it and gone, no, because he knows he properly messed up there.
Yeah.
But back to what you were saying is, Rippers did say, because all he can hit it. Rippers, I got to guard the front, so Faz, make sure you drop in. And I was like, I was going to drop in anyways. I'll drop in there and cover this side. It's like when we do 5-0s, I'll go, if they have a free kick, I'll stand this side. You can cover that side. And more or less was that, and then dropped. And luckily enough, because it bounced in horribly. Luckily enough, it machined and went away. Because you know them ones, because they bounce in so quick, it could hit you anywhere and end up in the back of the net. Especially when you smash it, you just got to like lock your legs out and hope for the best. Just point forward and hope it goes that way. And luckily enough,
put that down to good defending.
Yeah, natural instinct. That's what it is. Natural instinct. Fast defending. But back to Oxford. I think 1-1 was probably a fair result. I think as the game went on, we grew into it a lot better. And like I said, I didn't feel too threatened in the game. It was obviously putting the good play we were having from the back to the front, putting the finish, putting the bow on it. Do you know what I mean? And Ash did do that, but I think we need to do that more and obviously finish off these good plays that we have, or these moments when we're on top and we're feeding ourselves back into the game. We need to score more. But the Caleb thing, I was actually speaking to Caleb about it, and I think it's a pen, but I think it's really soft. I think it's really soft, but there's contact and it's a pen. And I said the same thing like what you said about how he fell over. I said, because Caleb isn't really like a mad diver, because he's quite proud, I think, because it's obviously we're chasing the game or whatever, we want to get that winner. And I think it's the heat of the moment. He's kind of like, oh, can I stay on my feet and kick this? Yeah. But then obviously he knows he can't. But because of that action, he's like, oh, can I stay up? It just looks so unnatural. And it just looks a bit like, well, what are you doing? Like what you said, if he just fell over, I think it would have looked. I still don't think we would have got it because we never get pens, but it would have looked more like a pen. But no, it's crazy that we haven't had a pen. It actually is crazy.
12 months last Monday, but
it's crazy.
I think you're right. I think we all agreed if we'd have got the penalty, we'd have probably bloody missed it. And secondly, I have to say a draw was about right, wasn't it, guys?
Yeah.
I think like I said, I've got the shot map up, and very sorry, the XG things up from the game. And aside from that, the goal, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing in there. So it's just a slight lapse in defence, and they've had a good little moment, and that's all that's done for it. But aside from that, they just did absolutely nothing. And in fairness, we didn't create a great deal either, obviously. But yeah, draw was fair enough. And if we get a penalty, I mean, at this point in the season, like, if we get a penalty and win it, even though we didn't deserve it, who cares? Because
at any
point in the season, I mean, I'd take that at any point in the season, but especially.
But that's how a lot of these. That's how a lot of these games are decided. It's a set piece, a little bit of magic, shooting from outside the box, going through legs like Ash did. A little bit of magic, set piece, penalty, a mistake. That's how these games, because it's so cagey and it's so. People don't want to give away so much, and it's so like the game's so locked up. Yeah, it's like that's how these games are separated normally. It's normally a set piece, a world or something that breaks it.
It's so tight. Ash's finish was a good finish, but 9 times out of 10 that comes off an ankle or a shin and spins out for a corner and goes nowhere. I mean, like he shot through players.
Unless you're Peterborough. No complaints. Unless you're Peterborough, where Peterborough, everything they hit went in, no matter who it hit.
We had one of those as well at Bristol, against Bristol. Remember?
We did, but we did score 4 others.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Right. So moving on, this weekend, I'm rather hoping that this weekend we actually turn up at MK Dons and don't make them look like Brazil 1970, which currently our results against the 2 games we've played against them this season, we're currently 6-0 down. And if you look at the results we had against them last season, there's not much better either. So it'd just be nice to score a goal against MK, wouldn't it, Joel?
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, obviously, I understand why the results went the way they did last season, because MK were really, really good. They had, people like Scott Twine, Harry Darling, etc. They're all gone now. But this season, yeah, I don't know if there's maybe a bit of overhang from last season. There's almost feels like there might be some kind of little psychological block. To be honest, the Carabao Cup game, I think it's worth remembering with that one that came just I can't remember what league. I think we had a couple of tricky league fixtures around that time. It was a real kind of consecutive few weeks of Saturday, Tuesday. We had Sheffield Wednesday and the Cup coming up, and it was. I mean, obviously, you don't want to make excuses for these things, but like,
I was just going to say, you made them.
yeah, I've made them already, I guess. But like, it came at quite a bad time, and hopefully that's not going to be a representation of what will happen this weekend. I mean, it's interesting looking at MK because they've got the joint worst home record in the division, and we've got the joint worst away record in the division. So it really is Clash of the Titans here. But
Someone's going to give.
Yeah, something's got to give. I mean, it's going to be
it's
going to be 0-0, isn't it? But I mean, looking at MK, it's interesting because they really have stuck to their guns. Like just looking at their style of play, some of the stuff around that, the kind of slow, intricate build up, they've really stuck to their guns with that. And obviously, this season it hasn't really worked out. They've lost obviously some of the good personnel that they had last season. I think we all expected a drop off, but the drop off to be this steep is alarming. Now, obviously, they've won the past couple of games against Forest Green and Accrington. Was it Cambridge Accrington? I can't quite remember, but against a couple of relegation rivals, and obviously that's massive for them. But I think we have to go and make it really hard for them and put that little winning run to an end and try and keep them back in the fight, because we can't let them pull away, and hopefully we'll be able to stop them this weekend.
And James, the hopefully a slightly better atmosphere than the Carabao Cup game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the MK last week a little bit. I think actually what's been occurring for the last couple of seasons is a brilliant tactical master plan to lull them into a false sense of security, for the game that really matters this weekend. So yeah, when we come away with the 3 points, we can credit Derek and John McMahon with a piece of brilliant tactics. But yeah, no, I just hope we go and play, and I'm absolutely sure we will. The game away last season where the result was not horrendous. I
think we got a kick.
Pardon?
We never got.
I can't remember us having the ball in penalty area once. So let's just go there and get the 3 points regardless of form or anything else. It'll be brilliant tactics.
And Faz, I come to you again, and I feel like a bit of a Glory fan, because I was obviously saying who cleared it off the line last week and who scored the winner in our only away win all season. So what's been going on with the away form, Faz? Because some of the performances have been pretty good, but we can't get arrested.
I know it's a frustrating one, but I've been a part of loads of teams, loads of seasons, and these things happen. I remember promotion pushing in League Two with Forest Green, and we wasn't very good at home, and we didn't know why. We tried to address it. These things just sometimes just happen, and you can't really put a maybe the home, because we're in front of the fans. You're at home, you know what I mean. It's what you're used to. It's, you know what I mean. It's like the 12th man, because that is a thing. It's not a myth. When you're at home with your fans, do you know what I mean, and they're there supporting you, and maybe you've got family in the crowd and stuff like that, it settles you down a little bit more. You feel, I don't know, you feel a little bit more confident maybe. There could be many things, but no, the home form's not good enough. It isn't good enough, and we've spoke about it, we've addressed it. I do think personally the past couple performances, the ones I can think off the top of my head, I do feel like the good thing about it, so say Fleetwood, we lost 1-0. Devastated about the result, but I think we battered them. I feel like we played so much better than Fleetwood. They just got the goal, we couldn't score.
Yeah, I agree.
The performances are getting better. and we're starting now, because early on in the season we weren't playing very well, and we were getting battered or we were losing. But I feel like now it's looking a lot more positive because the performances are there. And I just feel like I'm a strong believer. I feel like if you keep performing, because I've been under a lot of managers that only concentrate on performances, not results. I know we're at a different stage of the season now where results really matter. Like, I would take a rubbish performance, but a 1-0 win. I'd snap your hands off it, 100%. But the way I look at it is now with the away form is the performances are there now. The next thing to come is the result. So I'm hoping that we can put all these performances the good performances we've been putting in recently away, put them all into MK on Saturday and then get that result, get over the line.
A little bit of luck. I take what you're saying there, and if I think back to for instance, the Shrewsbury game. The Shrewsbury game was pretty even until they scored, and then they got another one just before half time. But then Danny Crowley pulled one back, and then somebody equalised and had it disallowed. Who was that?
Why do you keep doing this? By the way, that was never offside.
Well, I looked at that and I actually thought you were about half a yard off. To be fair, I did.
The thing is, what's deceiving on the camera angle is where Dunkley's position is. He's not marking me. He's in front of me.
Yeah.
Like, I remember looking down the line. He's not level with me and Flanagan. He's literally a couple yards behind. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So that's the thing that I can tell because I'm there looking down the line. He's a couple yards behind. And the thing that I didn't get is, obviously I tried to speak to the referee after the game, the linesman who made the decision, but he had a mediator in there. And you could tell he looked devastated. I think he knew he made a mistake there.
Well, it's happening to us. It's happening to us all the time. Dylan Conley.
But do you know the thing that's annoying? Even if I am the tiniest bit offside, I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 teams, they don't get that call. It's just given. And then they look back, was he off? Was he on? No, he should have been off. But it doesn't get given. Like, for example, the penalty decision as Caleb. I said this in the dressing room after. I said, if that was Ipswich at home,
they'd got that.
And that decision happened to them, that was a pen. Against us, that would have been a pen.
They did.
All you got to look at is Derby. Do you know McGoldrick? I gave away a pen there. I hardly
never
touched him.
Never
hardly touched him.
No, Caleb's was more of a foul than that.
And he's lifted his leg up in the air. I've literally, if I've touched him, I've brushed him like that on the top of his foot.
I know, and he went down like he was shot.
Oh, he went, and then straight away, pen. And just looking, going. But then you look at this. I'm saying it's difficult. It's difficult to take sometimes. But I'm not going to be the guy to stand there and say the reason is we're not getting pens and we don't get the decisions. At the end of the day, we've got to take some kind of credit. Fault for what's happening. But like you say, a lot of football, a lot of it comes down to is luck. Yeah, I do believe you make your own luck, but
I do.
These decisions, they can go one way or another. And if they've gone the way we are, if you look at the season, we could have got a hell of a lot more points and been in a completely different position. Do you know? If that one's not given offside, it would have been 2-2, completely different game.
Yeah,
completely different game.
Because we'd have been back in it. But I mean, like you say, these things happen. You do make your own luck. So if we go to MK Dons and I take what you're saying, we are all nodding when you're saying, look, I'd take result over performance every time. And if we turn up, we're absolute dog muck on Saturday and we win 1-0, that'll do for me. Because it doesn't matter anymore, Joel, does it? It's just about getting points on the board.
No, I mean, ultimately, throughout the whole season, obviously, the results are more important. But when it's earlier in the season, you've kind of got like, you're trying to build something, aren't you? You're trying to put something together, and you know that long term good performances will yield good results. And sometimes you can have bad luck on the day, and that takes away a result. But you know, if you keep plugging away with the good performances, then they'll probably keep coming, and that's the kind of thing that you probably do want to focus on. But at this point in the season, where it is just, slogging it out for every point we can get, obviously we want to perform better because good performances make you more likely to win. But yeah, it's just about getting the 3 points on the board. I think we're at a point now where we're probably going to take it. It's going to take another turnaround, similar to the one we had last year.
Yeah.
With that kind of little streak of form that we managed to put together, and I guess that was kind of done by good performances, but also just kind of practical performances, from what I can remember, just making sure that players who could affect the game in an attacking sense were in the right positions of the pitch. We had that kind of that midfield of Fane sitting and then giving Wildig and Phillips that kind of license to push on a bit, and hopefully we can kind of just manage to find that little bit of formula to see us over the line for this season. Because I think, actually, speaking on a wider point, signing Papi Soare, that's obviously good because Melbourne's injured and we need cover at left back, but it's also good because it means we can shift Gibson into midfield a bit more, which I think is probably quite advantageous because it does free up your Shaws and your Weirs and your Crowleys to be able to push on a bit more and get into those areas of the pitch where they can make a bit more of an effect.
Yeah, and I'm with you. That was something I was going to mention, in the fact that Soare coming in as your orthodox left back. Gibbo's done well enough in the middle of midfield to be the sitter, and as has been discussed many times, the season that we got out of League Two, his preferred system was 4-2-3-1, so we actually had two sitters. But obviously, we haven't really got one at the moment. Gibbo's a sort of makeshift one. But I just wonder, and I'm going to ask James this, I just wonder how much is it just me thinking that maybe Jensen and Liam have played a lot more games than they anticipated, and because of their youth, they're sort of like reaching that point now where they could probably do with the rest, but we can't really afford to rest them because we've got nobody else to put in there.
I don't know, actually. Faz might have a perspective on that because he's in the dressing room with him. I get the impression from both of them that they're desperate to play every minute they possibly can.
I agree.
And at least now we've got options on the bench, so things can be freshened up just as they were last week, even if it requires a change of formation. But yeah, I don't know. I was 2021 a very, very long time ago, but when I was 2021, you couldn't get me off any opportunity to run around. So I imagine that they're still in that mindset.
I hope you're right. I just last couple of games I've detected just a little bit of fatigue there, where both Liam and Jensen have been pretty sharp, and whether it is just the fact that they were starting a bit, not necessarily running empty, but the sort of like belief isn't quite as it should be, and that's just something I've noticed. And I'm just thinking Liam particularly, his distribution in the last couple of games his standard is absolutely really, really high, and it hasn't been.
I think it might be as much down to morale and mindset as anything physical. It's tough when you get into the last 18% of the season or such now, and you feel like you haven't quite got the rub of the green. And we talked about the fans' response, but it's not easy playing in front of fans who are feeling as negative as they are or were a couple of weeks ago at half time. And these are young lads. They're people who haven't had the opportunity to develop that resilience that comes about from being smacked on your arse and getting up repeatedly. So I think it's going to be as much mindset, which is potentially where the opportunity is, because a result or two and it can change entirely. Like the opposite of all the things we've just been talking about, and how it's like a game of chance and luck and fine margins. 2 or 3 fine margins go our way in the next 2 weeks, and we're in a completely different position. And then those young players, their tails are up, and suddenly Jensen's smacking it in from 25 yards again. And I think it's mindset. I think it comes down to mindset. If we can get that lift, we'll see a different version of those players.
And Faz, you're not exactly ancient yourself, and yet you're one of the more senior players in the dressing room, aren't you?
No,
That's a strange situation, isn't it?
26, feel about 46 in this dressing room, honestly. But no, regarding what you were saying, honestly, Shawsy, Jens, they're top. Honest, they're top. They're what I mean by that, they're class. They do it properly. They recover right. They're doing it like not extras in the way like that, but like getting the massages, recovering. I think, like you're saying, there's a lot of them. It's probably the most games they've played in a season or whatever. But I am if you're good enough, you're old enough, and it doesn't matter their age. They look after their body right. They eat the right foods. They're in the fight with us. I think a lot older lads, so me, Donald, Rippers, Cole, Gibber as well. Gibber's played a lot of games for his age. Like, we all let them know that how important this is. But in all honesty, the switched on lads. They don't need to be told. They know exactly what they're what they're doing and the quality that they're bringing out. I think you can see. So in spells of games, you're going to have tough times. You're going to have quiet moments.
Yeah.
Some games it's not going to go exactly to plan for you, especially when you're that age and you're learning and stuff. It's tough, and consistency is one of the hardest things in football. Being consistent week in, week out is tough, especially like you say, with things that are thrown at you off the pitch, on the pitch. Mentality, it's tough, but honestly, these guys they're top. They'll be sound and they'll come fight in these last 8 games 100%.
Well, that's good to hear. And obviously this week, a couple of games, I was like an idiot. I was tipping us to maybe struggle a little at MK Dons, but I've just got this bizarre feeling that we're going to go to Barnsley and get something. And then I watched the Barnsley-Sheffield Wednesday game and sat there thinking, oh my God, look at these two. Because
honestly,
like a boxing match.
this league is crazy. You can't read it. You can't read this league. Barnsley can go beat Sheff. I'm not saying we're going to go there and beat Barnsley, but Barnsley can go beat Sheff Wednesday, winning 8, 9, whatever it is in a row or whatever it is, and come against us and struggle. It happens all the time, especially in these leagues. It happens all the time. Do you know what I mean? Form is important. Like you say, it gives you confidence, get your tail up and all that. But end of the day, it's 11 against 11. It's who turns up. Anything can happen on the day. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think any game we go into thinking, even the top ones, you don't, well, me personally, you never go in there thinking, well, this is good. No, you just go, if anything, it gives you more of a freedom. It gives you more of, well, then, these are where they are in the league. Their players are supposedly the best or up there in the league. Show me. Let's see it. That's more like what the mindset is here at Morecambe.
Well, that's good, because I am, as people know listening to this, I try not to tip anything, because I am the worst tipster in the world. If I back something in the Grand National, it ends up at the glue factory. I say that every look. But the point being is, I've got it fixed in my head that no matter how crap a season you have away from home, even the worst team in the world will win 2, and we've only won 1. So if we don't win at MK Dons, I've got it in my head. I said this last week, I am going to Barnsley, I'm going to Oakwell. I've got a funny feeling that could be where we turn up, get absolutely battered. Rippers saves everything, 3 penalties, the bar, the post, we get 2 sent off, and we still win 1-0. I've said it. But I watched that Barnsley Sheffield Wednesday game, Joel, and I was sat there thinking, oh my God, because it was a brilliant game, wasn't it?
Tell you what, actually, I forgot it was on TV, and I was a bit bored on Tuesday, so I thought I'll try and find a game local somewhere. So I ended up going down to Wythenshawe Town and sitting there. It was absolutely chucking it down and everything. I sit down, put my phone out. Okay. Look on Flash Score. Look on the Barnsley game. It's on TV. I was like, I've made a mistake here, haven't I? So yeah, a bit of a shame. But I haven't watched it. But the quality of the two sides have. But incidentally, I thought exactly the same as you. As soon as I was just checking my phone, obviously keeping an eye on the Accrington Plymouth score as well. Yeah. Accrington very handily managed to get another player sent off. But
worst disciplinary record in the division.
I know, it's quite something. It's all come in the second half of the season as well. It's weird. Anyway, but I remember just seeing 2-0 just within about 3 or 4 minutes. 2-0 to Barnsley. I thought, yeah, we're shitting out. We're shitting out in a 1-0 win away here, aren't we? Absolutely. We're gonna. I don't know, got a bit of a gut. It's just one of those where, team banging form, worst away record in the division, rocks up at their place. Yeah, it's football.
You never write it off. I think on the point you were making as well, do you know about how young the squad is I think that's a credit to us as well to be able to be where we are, compete at this level with such a young squad. You literally just have to go through the squad. I think a lot of the time I'm the oldest outfield player on the pitch, and I'm 26. Yeah. And to be able to do that week in, week out, like what we're doing, obviously it's credit to the manager, the assistant, working with the young lads, working with us. Do you know what I mean? To do that week in, week out, I genuinely don't think there's many teams, especially in the top half, many teams in our league that are doing that week in, week out. I just don't think there is.
Has Adam Mayer packed his paper round in yet?
He's some player, by the way.
He is.
He is some player.
He very much is. He's got head on his shoulders. We've discussed that more than once. He has got head on his shoulders. And he's a likable lad as well. And I know from talking to him and talking to his dad that he just wants to learn, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's, what, 18? This is his breakthrough season. With how good he is now, all he has to do is keep listening, keep learning. He's going to have bumps on the road. He's going to make mistakes. He's just got to bounce back and keep developing. And there'd be no reason why he can't kick on. Well, definitely, in my mind, no reason at all. Obviously, he's a quite quiet lad. He keeps himself to himself, but on the pitch and that, he can be very electric. And it's just about, like you say, working on your game, be staying hungry, staying a nice kid, and keep listening, learning, and push yourself as far as you can go. But yeah, he's some player.
Right, we're going to chat a bit about you now, Faz.
Oh, don't.
You've had,
Make me blush.
I bet 26, and you've had more clubs than Jack Nicklaus.
Hey, not that bad. There's been worse. There's definitely
of
worse.
course there is. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have. It's a strange one because looking at your history, obviously, and the one thing I picked up on was the born in Nottingham, signed for Derby, and I'm like, I bet that went down well with the family.
Nah, I didn't, to be fair. I'll never forget my dad was like, so at the end of the day, my dad was just all for it. Whatever I wanted, whatever made me happy, he'd go for it 100%. And well, it started off playing for local teams. I was actually a forward. I was a striker. Yeah, I played for 2 Sunday leagues and then Nottinghamshire. I played for City Boys. That's like the Nottingham team. Nottinghamshire, I don't even know what it is. It's City Boys. A lot of good players have come through there, like the guys from Nottingham. So like Jermaine Pennant, who else came? There's some other ones I can't think of. Jermaine Genus, them kind of people came through there. So there's quite a few players come through there. And I was a striker. And then literally I became centre half because I wasn't a very good striker. I was on the bench. And then the centre half got injured and turned around, anyone want to play? And I just wanted to play. So I was just like, yeah. And then literally I only played 5-6 games. And then I got scouted by a couple of teams. And the first team I went to was Leicester. But I didn't really enjoy it. Well, they were going to offer me a contract, but then I didn't really enjoy it. Like the lads and that, I didn't really gel. I didn't really get along. I was quite quiet, kept it to myself. And I remember getting in the car. My dad said they were offering me a contract, and I was like, well, I'm not enjoying it here. And he went, "Why? I'll sit then." So then we left. The guy was calling up, not happy, but my dad weren't having any of it. And then I knew a couple of people at Derby. There was a couple of footballers that I knew that I grew up with, playing football with. So, and I didn't know anyone at Forest at the time. I didn't know anyone. So, because they were the other 2 teams that were showing a little bit of interest to come down and train. And I think that's what swayed me towards Derby. To be fair, I was only 13. I didn't really see too much into the rivalry or whatever. And to be fair, looking back at it, big respect to my dad because he was like, yeah, fine. The only thing he said to me goes, yeah, fine. But if you ever, he goes, I will never come watch Derby play. He goes, I'll only ever come watch if you're playing. So, yeah, that was his ultimate. Never. So I had to go watch all the games. Obviously, coming through the academy, you had to go watch all the Derby games. But my dad would never come with me. So I'd have to go with like me Derby mates, the other players and stuff. But sometimes they'd come with their parents and that. My dad would never come to a game. Only if I was ever playing, he said.
So your entire family are all Forest fans, is that right?
Couple Notts County, most Forest, yeah. My first ever game was a Notts County game. My uncle's a season ticket holder.
So go on then. Who do you follow? Because everybody follows somebody.
Forest.
You follow Forest.
Oh yeah, definitely take off. It's quite nice in the dressing room at the moment because there's 2 of us, me and Ash. Ash is a diehard. Yeah, he's worse than me. I'm more of a modest Forest fan where I want him to do well. I've watched a lot of games. I watch them whenever on TV because I know a couple of the players and stuff. And you know what I mean? I keep in touch as much as I can with the Forest scores and everything, and I want him to do well. Ash is diehard, absolute diehard. Or like literally in with the fans on the pitch when they got promoted. He is a diehard. So me and him get along, to be fair. Yeah, me and him have some good debates about it.
Well, I'm going to say to Dale, I want Ash on soon.
There's a bad one. I knew Ash when I was 13. He was at Derby with me.
Really?
Yeah, I met. Well, I've known Ash that long. I knew him. He was at Derby with me, and then he didn't get given a scholar. He got released. But yeah, I knew him when he was a 13-year-old, and he was probably actually bigger than he was now. He was probably actually bigger than he was. He's thinking
that was going to be my joke because when you said
he got any taller.
I was going to say you said before. I think people shrink as they get older, and I said, well, what's happened to Ash?
Oh,
he's going to kill us for that, but never mind.
Yeah.
So then you went on. I read an interesting fact about you going on loan to Rotherham and playing for Rotherham, and then they got fined for playing you without registering. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a mad one. Obviously, I got the loan to Rotherham, which was my first loan, which obviously it's in a champ. So I was buzzing. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I didn't really think I didn't think that would ever happen. Do you know what I mean? Normally, a lot of the people in my team would go on loan wherever. But what happened was I played in a resi game in a reserve. So our 23s played against Rotherham's reserves in a cup, in some kind of cup. And then their record signing played that Clark Harris. Rotherham signed him and he was the record signing. And I was I was 18 at the time, played against him. And I must have done really well because wasn't Steve Evans was watching, and then literally I played a game in 21's cup game against Southampton. We were having the weekend off. I was driving home, and then I got a phone call off the academy manager, Lee Glover. It was Lee Glover at the time, and he just called me and just said that, "Come back, where are you?" I was like, "Nearly home." We weren't too far for me, to be fair. It was a 50-minute drive, but he was like, "Come back, you're going on loan to Rotherham. You might be making your league debut this Saturday." I just played 90 minutes on the Thursday. And for starters, I was oblivious to where Rotherham was. So I was driving back. I had to pull over and search on my phone. I had to pull over and searching where Rotherham. And then I seen there was in the champ, and I was like, "Can't be them. I must have heard it wrong or something." And then, yeah, I got back in the doors, and it was. And then, madly enough, I then literally got in, signed the papers, was still thinking this isn't right, something's gone wrong here, surely. And then I was in the car, drove to Rotherham, stayed in the hotel, and then I didn't think I'd start because I literally played on the Thursday, and then next thing you know, I was in the changing room at Huddersfield away, and he's told me I'm starting, and they haven't won in that. I think that's like a derby or something. They haven't won in ages, and then maybe debut 1-2-0. So take it. Honestly, I thought I was going to get dragged at half time. I can't lie. I was against Vaughan. Vaughan and Ishmael Miller was up front for him.
Oh wow!
I'm 18. Yeah. I had a nosebleed after the time. I was thinking, what am I doing here? It was crazy because I've gone from playing 23s football to then just walking out at Huddersfield in front of how many was there at the time, and I was just like, wow. And I thought Steve Evans was going to drag me at half time for some whatever reason. You know what it's like for the first start. I thought, am I doing well? Am I not? And then no, we ended up winning the game 2-0, so it was amazing. But regarding it was the eligible player, wasn't it? Why I got that was crazy. So what happened was played quite a few games. I played like 4 games, I think it was. Obviously, it was back in the day when you could do the month loans.
Yeah.
So I was only there for a month at the time. And I remember I was on the bench against Birmingham, and I remember my loan was up. My loan was up after that. So when I knocked on Steve Evans' door, and I just said, like, "Hi, Gaffer, my loan's up. So, like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, do you want me to go back or whatever?" I didn't really know how to word it. So I was thinking, like, what's going on? And he just went, "Oh, fast, don't worry about it. We want to extend it. I'll sort it. Don't worry." So I'm 18. I've never been on loan before. I don't know how loans work. But then the game was a massive game against Brighton on the weekend, and it was more or less to stay up. If we win this game, we stay up.
Yeah.
And I remember turning up to the game, still not heard anything, but thought, like I said, I just thought nothing of it. And then all of a sudden, my name was on the board, and I was sitting there, and I'm starting. I'm thinking, right. Well, again, I just thought, well, he's the manager, he knows what he's doing, and something must have been sorted. Like, didn't think anything. Played, we won 1-0. And I remember then just getting home on the Sunday, I'm knackered, having obviously celebrating after and everything. I'm knackered. And I remember my phone just going mad. And it was actually Rotherham at the time. They called me can you come back and sign some things? So I was like, "Oh, you're kidding." Because living in Nottingham at the time was about an hour drive. So I remember my mum would go up, and mum was like, "What's going on?" I was living at home at the time. And I was like, "Will you come with me to Rotherham? I don't want to drive on my own." So I ended up driving all the way back there with my mum, just chatting rubbish in the car. Signed all the papers and everything then. And then I got home, thought nothing of it. And then next thing you know, I'm not really savvy on my phone and never have been. Left my phone. went to my phone and my phone was like froze. My phone just went off. I think I was trending on Twitter supposedly. It literally, my phone went nuts, and it all come out about eligible player and everything. There was videos of me on the socials and stuff like that, and then flipping. The thing is that they never even contacted me. Rotherham, it was Derby. Derby called me and told me to come in, and then my loan got cancelled. Then they said, "We want you to come back." Like, and then they explained everything to me then. But I was getting like death threats. We're coming to Derby and stuff like that. Yeah, it was crazy because no one came out from the Rotherham side to explain. So they thought, you know, how people can be sometimes. They thought
it was your fault.
Like I've gone out there as an 18-year-old on purpose, knowing all this stuff and played. And I was like, what? People were asking where I live and stuff like that. It was crazy. But then the maddest thing is they stayed up after that. They got deducted the points or whatever, or fined or whatever, and they stayed up. And then he signed me for another 6 months after. So it was a winner, really. But it was crazy. Honestly, it was crazy.
I'm glad I asked that now. That was a good story. So obviously you went back to Rotherham, and then you've been to Coventry, and nobody likes being sent to Coventry, do they? And then you had time at Aki, and then you had a fairly successful period at Forest Green. And I remember, I think Aaron Wildig scored a goal at your place, and we beat you 1-0, and you couldn't win at home. And I remember thinking about that. And that was when Mark Cooper was manager. You had a good side there, not Owen Archbold, and quite a few decent players, didn't you, at Forest Green?
No, it was good. Honestly, I loved my time at Forest Green. Forest Green was probably the first time where I got to play week in, week out, season after season, where before it was loans, 6 months here, 6 months here, 15 games here, 20 games here, 15 games, 10 games there. But it was the first time where I could constantly play games and get games under my belt and kind of grow as a player. It was weird. But like I played 50 games by the time I was 20 or 21, whatever it was, but it didn't feel like 50 games is like a season. Didn't feel like I played a season. Do you know what I mean? And there it got me the opportunity to play the games. And yeah, we had some good sides. Obviously, when I first got there, they were 10 points adrift, and then we survived relegation when I came in, which was a massive achievement for the club and for myself, because obviously it was a bit of a worry signing there, thinking, oh, we might go down and stuff. But you got to just back yourself, I guess. And then after that, we had two years of pushing for promotion, but we couldn't do what obviously Morecambe did in the end.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We just couldn't get over the line.
It was a strange one, but like I say, you had a decent side, and I do remember I was doing the commentary that night, and we won 1-0, and then obviously the season after we drew. I think we drew 2-2, and Carlos Mendes scored sort of like 2 minutes into injury time, and that was a good, useful point for us there. But
yeah.
So with your success there, was it a surprise when you disappeared off to Mansfield, or was that an easy decision to make because you were going nearer home?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an easy decision because the near to home thing I understand, but it wasn't an easy decision. I was renting in Bristol at the time. My missus, she loved it. We just had our little girl. She was born, and it was in lockdown time, and I didn't find out to the last moment, and I played a lot of games. I probably had my best season there.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, you know what I mean? You never get caught. I was always like, I think you could ask me, missus, she'd tell you, but I'm always very reserved, and I'd always, you know, if it like be like, well, maybe this might happen, even though she'd be like, no, that would never happen. But at that time, I genuinely thought they were going to give me a new deal. And like, I've been hearing good things and everything. And then it was literally just out of the blue. Like, I would have stayed. I loved it there. I loved my time there. I really enjoyed it. Like I say, I played 2.5 seasons. I got in their team of the decade and stuff like that. And the fans really liked me, and I felt comfortable. But then out of the blue, I just got a phone call off the manager, and he said they were cutting the budget because of COVID, and they couldn't offer me a new deal. And if I need anything, let them know. And that was it, really. It was like a 5-10 minute phone call. Well, not even 10, 5 minute, 3 minute phone call where I was a bit surprised and I was a bit shocked after. But like I say, one door closes, other one's open. And then obviously Mansfield came along back home, and it was nice. It was nice to move back home. And like I said, I haven't been back home for so long, and because of COVID and stuff, my parents, my missus' parents, they didn't get to see Amari at all. Really, that's my little girl, by the way. They didn't get to see her till she was about 1. It was crazy. So to be able to move back home, give us the opportunity to make up for lost time with Amari and her grandparents and my family, my sisters and brothers and my missus' brother. And then we ended up having my son then back in Nottingham. So no, the Mansfield thing was class. I enjoyed it at Mansfield. I had two good years there, played quite a lot of games. And again, we just missed out right at the last bit. It seems to be just me. It must be me, innit? It must be me. we get all the way there and then we just miss out last minute.
Yeah, but the positive is you avoided relegation with Forest Green when you went there. So that's what
I look at my record with relegations and stuff, and I think personally it's pretty good. It's pretty good. What's it called? I survived relegation at Forest Green. I survived relegation twice at Rotherham. And what was the other one? Oh, the one that I missed out on was Coventry. I got relegated with Coventry. So I think overall it was quite a positive thing, really.
So you're happily settled. You've had 2 good years at Mansfield, and then the opportunity comes up to play Derek Ball in League One with us. So how did that come about?
Well, for the Mansfield thing, it ended obviously. I got told a little bit before, to be fair. Towards the end of the season, the manager said he was looking to go elsewhere. It was nothing to do with me personally, but obviously I wasn't Nigel Clough's signing. But so he wanted to go else. He wanted to bring his own players in and stuff, which happens in football, and you have to accept. And the day is, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I can't speak highly enough about him. To be fair, the way he dealt with me towards the end, you know what I mean? Called me up. Asked me how, like, if I need any help with anything, if he needs him to talk to anyone, if he can sort me out in any ways. When he was releasing the retain or the keep list, he called me before and said, "Is it okay if he releases it?" and wished me all the best and said his phone's always open, anytime, give him a call. So he was legend, made it a lot easier with me moving on. But I was actually on holiday. I was on holiday in Greece. It was first family holiday, which was absolute carnage. I was on holiday and my agent contacted me, and it was I think it was Greg Strong messaged my agent before saying he was moving somewhere, but at the time he wasn't allowed to say where. But he says that he wanted to make me the first signing at this club. So it was a bit like, well, we need context here. Like, where? It could be anywhere. We don't know what it is.
Yeah. You want
Do you know what I mean? So I didn't really think much of it
at
at the time. Yeah, no, I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. But then obviously he came back and he said Morecambe in League One, which for me, I feel like I had unfinished business in League One. I played a part in every league bar the Premiership and the Conference. But like, I just feel like League One, obviously I was there with Cov. I played 14 games and it obviously didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. So I wanted to come in. I wanted to give it another crack. Because I played so many games at League Two now. I felt like, when am I going to make that step up? Because I feel like my performances in League Two and my stats and the amount of games I've played and pushed out at my age and stuff, I thought it warranted that opportunity. And like I said, I was very grateful that Morecambe came along. I spoke to Greg in depth. We had quite a few conversations. And I spoke to the gaffer, especially in depth as well. And they both called me a couple of times, and we spoke about plans. We spoke about myself, where I should be, where I want to be, the attributes I have, where I can improve, and on things that I can add to my game. And really, it's normally the cliche where people say they sold me the club and everything. Do you know what I mean? But I do know a couple of people who have been at Morecambe before, and they've always said it's a very family orientated club. Like, do you know what I mean? It's warm, it's welcoming. You can go there and you can play your games, and do you know what I mean? And the fans will get behind you, will appreciate you and stuff like that. And in all honesty, like I've seen it this season, I've seen it massively. Do you know what I mean? Some of the results haven't gone to plan, but do you know what? If we go out there and we show fight, which we've been doing, and we give it a right good go, the fans follow. The fans get behind us, and I felt that warmth. I have felt that warmth, and it's been really nice. So, I'm sorry, I know I'm just waffling on, but this is what I do. I just go on a little corridor and just go off. You ask me one question, next thing you know, I'll be talking about what I'm having for dinner and that. Do you know what I mean? But no.
Well, it's good to hear that you've from a fan's perspective, you've become a very firm fan's favourite because, and I think interestingly, the Charlton game, we were listening to Donald Love's post match, and he said we've got to be better at set pieces because if Faz doesn't win it in that area, it's down to the rest of us to win it in the rest of it, and that was a backhanded compliment because. As Joel will allude to, your stats winning headers is bloody amazing, isn't it, Joel?
No, yeah, they're really, really good. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned Greg Strong just then because I remember when we had Greg Strong on the podcast for the first time. I think one of the questions we asked him was, "What's the hardest position for you to recruit these days?" And he said centre back because you sometimes don't always find some of the more traditional qualities in terms of that kind of defending your box, winning your headers and stuff. I guess like for you as coming through academies and whatever, not too long ago really, with how defenders tend to be coached more. Was there a point where you kind of think actually now I just want to kind of head it and kick it and do the proper side of defending?
It's a difficult one really because like it all depends. Like I'd say early on when I was younger and stuff, it was solely defending, and I do enjoy that. Like one of my idols growing up, and it doesn't really ever get a mention, but it's Vidic. I used to love Vidic. I used to think he was quality. Never really gets spoken about, but I think he was vital to that Man United side just because you had Ria who looked good and did all the stuff and was a good defender, obviously. But I just thought he was the brick wall. He was the one who'd get his head in where it hurts and would block stuff, would fight, would stick his head in and tackle and crunch and defend properly. Do you know what I mean? But no, from a younger age, it was more just the defending stuff. I'd work on 1v1 grappling. When you say grappling, I mean dealing with a physical guy, 1v1, a smaller guy. How would you deal with that? Get your body in the right positions, being able to read things a lot better. But then when I went to Forest Green, especially, they obviously played a certain type of football. I think you can all remember what they're known for. They've changed a little bit now under new management, but I guess that's because they're obviously fighting in different personnel and stuff. But it was total football, and we would play back three, and I never played in a back three before. But Forest Green, I'd play seasons in a back three, and it'd be getting the ball off the keeper, coming out with it, playing passes. So I did that. Start, I was out of my depth and I didn't feel very comfortable with it. But as it went on, I've started to get better and better and better with it throughout the seasons with it. And you got to add both parts. But no, I'm 100% I love the simple side of defending. Do you know when I watch games and that, if I see someone and it gets unnoticed now because of the Premier League and all this stuff, I understand why, but just being in the right position and clearing it with your head, but clearing it well and in right areas and stuff like that. I love watching stuff like that. I love seeing stuff, or putting your body on the line, or holding defender, dominating a striker and not letting them get a sniff without your team having all the possession. It's what I love. I love seeing stuff like that. I love doing that.
What we love is the fact that you can edit further than half our team can kick it.
What I love is that you dominated Mr. Charles against Bolton, and you are the recipient of the only compliment that Ian Everett has ever paid to anybody connected to Morecambe.
I've heard about this, but I'm not big on the socials, so I don't know who told me it. Someone told me it, but I don't go searching. So I've heard he gave me a compliment, which is quite surprising because I don't think he really likes me, but it'd be quite surprising.
You did have Dion on your pocket.
Yeah, I was chatting to a fella at work who's a Bolton fan, and he was at the game, and he was saying about all the Bolton fans. Who's this Tyson Fury heading away all the balls into Morecambe's box?
Go on.
Go on. It's always nice to get compliments, but you seem quite unassuming in the fact that you just said you don't go looking for it, so you're not big on social media.
No, I've got everything, all the socials, but you're gonna have to, you just have to look at it. My missus always says, "Are you never gonna post anything? What's the point of having it?" And I just have it. It's once a year, or whenever I move club. That's normally, or sometimes I put my kids on it, birthdays and stuff like that. But a lot of it, social media for me, is to keep in contact with people because I don't have everyone's numbers in football. Like I've got loads of mates in football, and I don't have their own. They move different clubs, or I was only there for a short, so I don't grab their number. So I keep in touch with them on socials, or to see what they're doing, to congratulate them, or to say well done, or whatever. It's mainly just to keep in touch with friends. I don't use it to search for me or look at certain things, and I prefer that really because I do feel like social media is a good thing, but a lot of the young lads, I think you were just saying about. Other young lads might look at social medias and stuff like that, and it kind of can affect them, or it can get onto them what fans will say and stuff like that. But I just don't see why they look. I don't look. I'm happy with what I do. I try my best every day. I give it my all, and I go out there and I cross the line, and I want to be the best person I can be, the best player I can be on that day. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. We're all human. It happens, but it's then why are you looking out for the gratitude and stuff like that? You surely yourself, if you played good or bad or you've had a tough day.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You're your own best and worst critic, aren't you? Because you know how to.
Yeah. Well, my dad would try and say he's my worst critic, but honestly, he tells me I play amazing every game. So it's like, he goes, "Oh, son, I'm definitely your worst critic." I don't think he's ever said I play bad. And I look at him, I always go, "Yeah, you are, Dad." And I think in my head, "Dad, you've never said I've played bad, mate. I don't know what you're on about."
I give away 2 penalties and an own goal.
It'd be like, "Tough luck, son. Thought you had a solid game now."
Joel, what else have you got? Else have you got to ask Big Faz?
Not to be honest, I think we've been quite comprehensive. I'd say not too much really. I think I think we've kind of gone over it all really.
Yeah. Look at that, Faz. Ask 2 questions and you've done it all.
And I've told you I'm easy. I'm easy.
I know, so I've heard. So moving on, I'm looking now. Something I do want to talk about because it's coming up. Morecambe ladies, Morecambe girls FC. They're at home on Sunday to Workington, and it's the first time. They must be excited because they're playing at the Mazuma. Obviously, we're away at MK Dons. And we've been sort of like chittering on about this for about the last sort of 3 podcasts because we had Nick and Sophie on and Becca Baldwin, who's the captain. And that was a really nice podcast. And we promised that we'd advertise the game, and it's this Sunday. And both Joel and James have got behind it and said, if we could at least equal Lancaster City's Giant Axe attendance of about 200, 250, then that would be smashing. And it's been sort of lurking in the background for a while, James, and it's finally arrived this Sunday.
Yeah, it's brilliant. If anybody's not seen the video of Becca and Natasha that's on the club website, it's worth a look. You really get a sense of what it means to them, as we did from Sophie and from Nick and from Becca a few weeks ago on the pod. But yeah, it's a massive thing. It's the first of obviously this happening more regularly. I just urge everybody to get down there, mainly to show support for MFC women, but also to beat Lancaster's Gate.
Yeah, and they're putting pies on. There's the full thing. Everybody should go. I mean, I've got family over, but I'm still hoping I can sneak down. It's 2:00 kickoff, Joel. Difficult for you in Manchester, but it's a great initiative, isn't it?
No, 100%. It's good that the Morecambe FC women have kind of properly been brought under the umbrella. Obviously, the team itself has been operating for a long time under Nick and Sophie, but now to have it properly integrated with the club, and then have the things that come with that, like the kits, some of the sponsorship, and now obviously kind of peaking in playing a game at the ground, and hopefully we will get those good numbers. And I think it's been said that the tickets have sold relatively well, so hopefully it'll be a really, really good day. And actually, I say peak at playing at Mazuma. Actually, hopefully it'll keep going on to further heights, and this is just the kind of start of building that relationship with the women's team.
Yeah, I hope so. And they recently appointed an assistant manager in Liam James Brown, and he contacted me on via Twitter saying that he listens to the podcast and wondered if he could somehow get the women involved. And I had to send him one back saying they were only on 7 weeks ago, but they only appointed him a month ago, so he didn't realise, I don't think. But so I thought I'd give Liam a mention because he listens. Thank you. But a good thing for the chaps to get involved in as well. Faz, the Morecambe women playing at the Mazuma, same kit, same banner, and guess who sponsors their kit?
It's definitely not me this time. So
It's not you. It's not you, but it's your lookalike. It's Tyson Fury.
I don't think he likes that. I don't think he likes that. He's not having it. I don't think.
That was so funny. That picture of you and Donald Love. Donald.
I thought it was good banner, but I don't know.
Donald being as tiny as he possibly could.
He's giving me some dirty looks since. I'm only joking. I actually never met him. I'd like to meet him, but you never know if we pass. I ain't gonna force it.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I took my dogs out on Morecambe Prom on Monday, and he was out running with his entourage on Morecambe Prom on Monday morning. So
he puts in the work. But no, regarding the women, 100% everyone should go support, because football's football. We all love football, and at the end of the day, women football have been making massive strides, and it's nice to see, because this game's for everyone to enjoy. Do you know what I mean? And there's some really good players. Do you know what I mean? And I think as a club and as a fan base, we should support all sides. Do you know what I mean? 100%. And we want all our teams to be successful. So, go make a massive atmosphere. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed, James. Fingers crossed. But good luck, girls. Good luck, Becca. And well done to Liam, Sophie, and Nick. They've had a pretty successful season so far. Let's hope it continues in front of a crowd. I hope it's an old football cliche, but I hope they play the game and not the occasion. I know that Becca and the girls are quite excited about sort of seeing the names on the scoreboard and when they line up and kick off and what have you. And it's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive.
It is. I'm chuffed to bits for him, so I'm hoping to be there. So hopefully I'll give you a report next week. But James, anything from the boardroom? And I'm not going to ask you the usual thing. So you tell me what you want.
Well, there's been no major change and no major update on the process of finding a new owner. So we're all being very, 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 very patient. Aside from that, a little bit of good news in the Think fan engagement index. We've gone from lower mid-table last season, or in the 2021 season, up into the top third or close to the top third for last season, which is testament to all the hard work that Anya and Ben and everybody associated behind the scenes has been doing over the last couple of years. So we're up on the fan engagement side, which is great. I think you can probably take a little bit of credit for that yourselves for doing this pod, and everybody else who's doing a better job of engaging people with the club. So that's some good news. Aside from that, there'll be announcements in the next few weeks around things like season tickets for next season and other things. So everything carries on regardless of the distractions in the background. And as I said last week, just massive credit to Ben and everybody who works behind the scenes for just getting on with the job. So yeah, that's all that really. And I suppose a lot's going to rest on us getting the points that we need, which we're obviously going to do over the next 8 games. That's
what I like, positivity. And also for those, and there are plenty on social media who are doubting the efficacy of the EFL procedures that are now in place for new owners, just do some digging on Sheffield United and see. I think they've certainly tightened a lot of things up there, because when I read about Sheffield United, the hoops they're trying to jump through, and the new owner doesn't look like it's going to be successful because of that. It does look like they're definitely trying to put the house in order, Joel, which is about time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to see. I think they've put out a statement in relation to our takeover about a month ago now, making it clear that they are going to be a bit more diligent than they perhaps have been in the past. And everything things I've kind of heard and read and just reading the situation, it does look that way. So yeah, I mean it's what you want for the betterment of not just us but for football as a whole, and hopefully they keep doing that.
I will just say on that as well, and because people make statements on social media without necessarily doing the research. There's been a bit of change at the EFL in the last couple of years. There are some people now in roles who are taking governance incredibly seriously, and that's to the EFL's credit, because it needed to be tightened up and improved on. What was happening before that, and then obviously the regulator is actually on its way in now. Exactly how and when it'll transition in. The fact that white paper was published by the government, and all of the measures that are described in that. I mean, it's in everybody's in football interest, not just the EFL, but also the FA, the Premier League, even the PFA. All of them are going to have to pull the socks up and get their act together, because a regulator will come in, and the bigger mess certain organisations are in as it does, the more that regulator will need to get involved. And I've just written or drafted our response to the various points that were in that white paper. And it's good for football. I'm not talking about this from a Morecambe perspective or a current process perspective. I'm just talking a general perspective. The game doesn't work as it's structured at the moment. It's a stupid casino where everybody's encouraged to gamble more than they can afford, and that's not good for players, for fans, for clubs, for towns. So yeah, that regulator's coming in, and therefore there's a real incentive for every governing body in the game to pull the socks up, which is, I think, what's happening.
Good. I'm glad you think that, because obviously, looking at the little bits that I realised, that there's definitely been a seed change in the attitude, because they don't want to get it wrong because of that white paper. Joel, anything from the trust?
Not too much to update on this week. Thanks to anybody who helped out with the flag on Saturday. That was quite a last minute thing that we ended up putting together, but obviously it's a really great thing to do. Obviously, unfortunately, the people who actually helped put the flag out, they don't actually get to really witness it as much and see it properly. But from where I sit in the main stand, it looks amazing, and it really does help give a bit of a boost to things around the ground. And secondly, just another plug for the race night that we're doing after the Plymouth game on Good Friday. I'm not too sure if there are many races left. I think they might have all gone, but you'll have to double check. But obviously, if you're interested, do get in touch. Either through Shrimp Trust social or email, or get in touch with Paul Carter. It's £25 a race, and you choose the name for the race and the name for horses. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it from the trust this week.
Well, that's it's about time we rounded up and disappeared then, isn't it? Big Faz, an absolute pleasure to have you on. It's taken some time to get you on, but it's been fantastic. I hope A, you'll carry on listening, and B, that you'll come on again when we've survived.
Yeah, 100%. I'll come on 100%. Just let me know. I'll probably be down on the pecking order anyways, but yeah, let me know. I'll come on.
No.
I've enjoyed it. It's been nice.
I'm sure you've got 1,000,001 stories that you haven't told us yet.
Oh, loads. I've got loads. Loads of stories.
That's what the fans like, so that's good. So thank you to James, thank you to Faz. The usual thanks to my cohort here, who does all the hard work behind the scenes, in Joel. This has been ShrimpNet 31. Thank you for listening. Join us next week when we talk about that amazing performance against MK Dons that I don't know the result.
And the hat trick.
Oh, don't say that. Thanks for listening.
Nah, I don't believe that.